We made it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Gen City Labs LinkedIn Live session. My name is Mike Shaman. I'm CEO of Gen City Labs. With me, as always, our friendly neighborhood head of partnerships and strategic ops, Eric Arvai.
Everybody.
And also, our special guest of the day is Joel with Niantic. Now, a lot of you guys may know that Gen City has a very, very deep history with augmented reality. We've actually been doing activations since about 2008 when we did some of the first publicly available facial recognition activations in storefront windows in New York for the movie Coraline. And over the last 15 plus years, we have been working with every platform under the sun. Over the last several years, though, there's really been only one game in town, and that is Niantic and 8th Wall. They are awesome partners. If you guys are in the space, there is a very good chance you've heard of them. If you haven't, it's because they are the platform that lies underneath just about every great augmented reality activation you've probably seen in the brand and event space for the last several years. So we are coming fresh off of an Augmented World Expo last week, which is kind of your AR, VR big show. It was in Long Beach. It had been in Santa Clara for the previous years. And Niantic had a bunch of exciting stuff to share. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover a bunch of brand activations. We're going to cover future applications of augmented reality, a whole bunch of topics for us today. But first, Joel, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in the space, and about your role at 8th Wall.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that intro, Mike. And I know at 8th Wall and at Niantic, we're so happy to be in the space and get to build these amazing tools. And we're always constantly amazed and inspired by the creativity of your team and of other creatives out in the space who are making meaningful content, using these tools. So, the tools are cool, but the stuff that you create is even more inspiring. I'm Joel, as Mike shared. I'm a group product manager here at Niantic, focusing on our 8th Wall platform. And I work on leading our 8th Wall product development, as well as our AR research and some of the underlying computer vision going on at Niantic that powers, hopefully, some of your favorite AR functionality that we deliver to market and make available to developers through our developer platforms.
Awesome. And by the way, for those of you in the audience that are brand marketers that are familiar with the name Niantic, you probably know them as the Pokemon Go guys. That was probably the first killer app that hit broad adoption and popularity that really drove a lot of people to kind of open their eyes and have some of their first augmented reality experiences. If you guys have played Pokemon Go, then you know it is geolocated. You can actually track yourself as you're walking through your neighborhood or walking through a city. Find things throughout the city, and then fire up your phone for a really cool augmented reality experience to capture various Pokemon in your area. So that app kind of was a springboard that launched Niantic into the public eye. Since then, I know you guys have released other games and other functionality. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the core elements of the platform, the product, who you guys typically work with, and kind of how you're making a name for yourselves.
Yeah, I love that. I see some comments coming in as well. So we love Pokemon Go, and there's huge updates that are coming in that game. If you've been a fan or want to be a returning fan, it would be amazing to see you there. We also recently released our Monster Hunter Now game, as well as our Peridot game, which is like an AR pet in the real world, and is really the first kind of visual AR centered game. So it's only played with the camera on, whereas Pokemon Go and Monster Hunter Now are really location-based AR, where you're playing in a 3D environment or on a map, and then going to a location and maybe turning on AR for a moment in time. So lots of different ways to experience AR in the various gameplay around Niantic. Personally, I joined the 8th Wall team a while back. I was inspired during the pandemic. I went to the VR AR Association virtual conference which feels like it should always be virtual. It feels on brand. Um, and I saw Tom Emmerich there, and Tom was at Eighth Wall at that point in time. And I said, wow, like that guy's so cool. I want to move out of what I was doing, which was product for our brand marketers. I'm very brand marketing aligned. It was product for a company called Patronics, which makes like customer loyalty, online ordering, CRM solutions for restaurants and convenience store brands. So, if you've used the Panera Bread app, a lot of the stuff on there is powered by Patronics, as an example. And I love the intersection of marketing and technology and creating really meaningful experiences, especially for our super fans. And I'll connect it, back to that loyalty space for a moment. When you think about creating those types of experiences, we know that Gen Z millennials, they crave experiences over like discounts or sort of transactional interactions with brands. And AR is an amazing opportunity to turn on the camera feed and instantly personalize your relationship with your consumers at scale, right? Because it's personalized to them. Maybe if it's a front camera and it's facing them, or if it's a back camera, it's personalized to their environment and their context that they're currently in. And so there's a huge opportunity to create meaningful experiences for brand super fans without discounting, top line revenue as a, kind of a draw to get them in or to get them engaged or to help them feel special and connected to the brand. So that's a little bit of my background in terms of the developments. At Eighth Wall, we've been powering the world's web AR, I think, since 2018 on the web. And being on the web has been all about access and distribution. So anyone can scan a QR code, can access a link, can get to this meaningful technology that creates these personalized experiences with no app download required. And they can also be really easy to build and deploy, right? So when you're developing for the web, when you're making web AR, you're just building websites that have spatial components, but it's just like other web technology. And so you have a much faster iteration cycle for getting things out there, for innovating, for testing and learning what works, and then a much broader audience that you can actually send it out to and get engaged in the content.
Yeah, that was always the challenge with the early days of augmented reality. Well, in the very, very early days, and we're talking like 2008, 2010, just to date myself, it was, does the laptop have a webcam or do they have an external webcam? Because this, again, early days. And so if they had a webcam, you could hold up a target or something on your computer, which, still needed an app download on your laptop or desktop. That then transitioned to mobile devices, but again, you needed to download an app. We actually did a very early activation for Mini Cooper in 2011. That was an augmented reality campaign to put your Mini anywhere, right? And it was, I don't even know that it compares to today's augmented reality because there was no pattern target recognition. There was no spatial element. It was literally a digital image that you could place within your live camera feed. So the most basic stuff back in the day. And then, that slowly has transitioned now to web AR being, low poly counts, very basic with regards to functionality, to now being so well flashed out that to Joel's point, you do not need to download an app. You do not need consumers to, they need to have a phone that's not 10 years old. But really the requirements are very low. The bar is very low for people to be able to access and engage with and enjoy an augmented reality application to the point that it can scale to tens of millions, hundreds of millions very easily. So it's an exciting time to be a developer in the space. I hope that the brand marketers out there are excited about the potential. I do think that typically when we build augmented reality applications, very often it can be kind of bifurcated. Down one path, you have pragmatic applications, right? And that is, for us, utilization of physical space in a meaningful way. That can be through measurement, that can be through, ease of layout, not needing to re-render new spaces. That can be through shortcuts, right? Augmented reality is a great and super, super interesting way to allow you to take shortcuts or to augment an experience that you're having. And then you've got kind of the creative gamification side, which is, we probably see a lot more gamified and creative experiences happening for brands that want to elevate an experience, not only for in real life events, which is where we focus a lot of our efforts, but for remote audiences as well. Which actually, is something that we're launching in a couple of weeks with the Essence Festival. We're working with Eighth Wall and building an augmented reality portal using 360 cameras live on the show floor and at the concert venues to stream footage from the show. Then consumers at home can hold up their device, see a portal appear in their living room, walk through the portal, and gain access to the 360 camera on the show floor. So those types of experiences, now that one has a little bit of a mix between the entertainment and the pragmatic side, but those types of experiences are pretty typical for, where we see brand activations going in the AR space. Joel, I'll kick it back over to you. What are some exciting projects that you guys have launched recently? I know there was a golf app that I saw you guys do in the not too distant past that was really cool. But what are some of the other higher profile brand activations that you guys have worked on or you guys have helped bring to life?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're providing the platform and the tools. So there are, amazing agencies who are working and building these experiences. Internally, we definitely do experiences that help integrate kind of like different technologies and kind of showcase what can be done. A great example of that is our wall experience. You can go to www.meetwall.com. I'll share it with the team here, and maybe we can put it up as well. And this is an experience that can be accessed on headsets. It's using Eighth Wall, Niantic Eighth Wall's metaversal deployment. So it was built once, can be accessed on headsets, on mobile devices, on computers, and so on. And it integrates like a Gen AI brain into this owl character, so that you can chat and learn about the forest that this owl lives in. I'd actually won a Webby, so very exciting. But it's a great example of taking maybe like brand personification, giving it a Gen AI brain with, we partnered with InWorld AI and Liquid City and Le Polish Bureau to develop this experience. And InWorld AI is providing sort of like guardrails and a framework that you can, make your content brand safe. In this case, for Meatwall, you want it to be, safe for children and things like that. And then put it all together with AR, right, to make the AR more realistic, more engaging. So that's just kind of one example of work internally. Externally, we have our discovery hub of like eighthwall.com/discover, where you can find, thousands of projects that have been built by others. One of my kind of recent favorites is a project that Vodafone did in Europe. They hopped on the fake out of home trend. And you might be thinking like fake out of home, like that should be worrying to you. Like, that's the don't do the AR, just make the video and share it. But they hopped on the fake out of home trend to drive people to real billboards that would then activate and have, the experience at the billboard. And the billboards were all strategically located near Vodafone stores. And so at the end of the experience, there was actually like a call to action and maybe like some sort of driver to go into the store. So they had like, from social media awareness all the way to driving you to a location, having an amazing AR experience. You got to take your own version of the video, create some sort of viral loop, as well as drive all the way into like ROI in store. So that's like just a really great example of, I think, a well executed and really well thought out campaign that integrates AR into the total story and doesn't just make it sort of like this innovative thing that's added on.
That's awesome. And honestly, I love the Meet Wall. Back to the first part. If you guys have not seen that one, it's really fantastic. It is multi-medium. So you can view that in a virtual reality headset. And if you guys have not seen augmented reality through a MetaQuest 3 headset, it's fantastic. It's really good. Entire gardens spring up at your feet, and it's really exceptionally powerful. So, that's not to say that only in VR headsets, but the VR headset is really an elevated experience. Beyond, mobile device can still be great, but man, those headsets are really good. And I love the creativity behind brand experiences, thinking out of the box, thinking about geolocation, thinking about that, enhanced experience for a consumer, and then actually positioning that by retail is just really, really, really smart. Eric, I don't know what you've seen in the augmented reality world that's gotten you excited with regards to brand activations recently. Anything that stuck out to you as interesting, cool? I know we have a lot of soccer tournaments going on right now. We've seen some sports activations. Anything out in the universe that you've seen recently that's gotten you excited, or that is coming up that you've heard any rumors about?
I think with the Euro Cup, the soccer, for you soccer fans out there, Euro Cup's going on, and also Copa America's going on. There's a couple experience through some of the clubs where you can have sort of engaging experiences in your own home. I don't know of anything specific that's sort of jumping out at me right now, but oh yeah, so Mike, you just popped in here in the chat here. The Eighth Wall Pepsi halftime experience at the Super Bowl is an awesome example. I don't know, Joel, if you had a part to play in that, or if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that one's live performance companion. And I know that was not this past. I think that was 2 years ago. Is that right, Joel?
There it is. Believe so. I don't know off the top of my head. But I shared a link. I believe it was developed by Air Cards, a great agency partner of ours. And basically it put a portal in your space that you could sort of walk through, and it was with The Weeknd as well, because the Weeknd was the performer at that halftime show. And you sort of like walked through this portal, like Weekend experience, where things were flashing up in the portal, and then you sort of emerged into a musical experience to really accompany the halftime show. So there's the link there. Obviously, it's not currently the halftime show, so this is just an example of what that was. But these accompanying events experience, it kind of goes back to that idea of your most loyal fans, and obviously sports has a lot of those. They're craving these experiential moments with their brands, the teams, the things they love. And AR is a really great way of creating those special personalized moments with them. And Mike, I sort of think a little bit about what you said earlier. We're really at this powerful nexus for the web. You sort of mentioned how the web has gotten even more powerful than it's been in the past. You can have like higher quality experiences on the web, and kind of really build out a lot more. And when we think about brands as well, traditionally, maybe in the past on the web, you'd get like a short form experience, or, something quick that's engaging, and then people move on in their day, or they go, do something else. But there's a real opportunity to create these like longer form experiences, things that aren't a, one-click link, but it's a link or a world or a experience you continually go back to, and it changes and develops with you and the brand. And at AWE, we announced our Niantic studio, and it's all about, yeah, it's all about empowering and taking advantage of this nexus of power, on the web, and that, brands and everyone are excited for, to help people build out those long form experiences. So we have a little video that we could do.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell us. I know Augmented World Expo was a big kind of watershed moment for Niantic and Eighth Wall. Tell us a little bit about what you guys announced, and what the potential impact is going to be for yourselves and for your agency and brand partners.
Awesome. We'll do. I'll play the quick video first, and then we can talk more about it as well.
Love it. So, how has the response been in the first week post announcement to the new tool set that you guys have been providing the world?
Well, the response has been really fantastic. We just launched in beta. So first of all, so happy for anyone who wants to sign up, use it, and obviously provide feedback as well, because we're marching towards a time when we'll be out of beta, and then we're going to continue to improve this platform over time. This is a gigantic leap for how AR, web games, 3D experiences are developed on the web. Going back to something we chatted about earlier, building on the web was building, basically web pages and web technology, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, just with like an understanding that it's also spatial. And that's amazing. And it's great for web developers, of which there are a huge amount in the world. But it's not great for technical artists, or maybe designers, or maybe marketers who also want to have a hand in helping to create what an experience might look like. Studio is a revolution on top of that. It's a visual interface. It's all of the XR functionality from Niantic 8th Wall that people know and love. And it's a game engine all rolled into one. And when you combine all of those technologies together and really seamlessly integrate them and purpose build them to create amazing XR content, you get this ability to both build faster, open up the tool for more people to engage with, including people who aren't sort of like code first people, as well as the ability to build out longer form content and build out kind of sticky, repeatable content that brands can continue to invest in over time.
So a little bit more drilling deep into Niantic Studio. Was this built for developers, or was this built more for kind of your regular folks that want, to create AR experiences for their brand? Tell us a little bit about the kind of target there.
Yeah, so this is definitely intended to expand who can create AR content on the web beyond developers. We're definitely looking to target, technical artists, maybe like technically minded people on the marketing team. But I wouldn't say the target is just anyone is ready to go. It's definitely still a professional tool, but it's a professional tool that's now expanded beyond just developers.
Nice. And have you had, I know you're in beta, I'm just curious about any feedback you've gotten from some of the testers and sort of the developer community that has been using it.
Yeah. So we've been in beta. We were in like a private alpha before that. So we've had lots of feedback. People are really, really excited about the tool. We have, some even sample game projects now. If you, scan the QR code, get started, you'll see that you can actually have clonable games that you can create with Niantic Studio. So getting great feedback, also getting great feedback on things to improve and change over time, which is really, really important. And we really value that feedback as well, because again, everything that you see from the Vodafone experience or, Pepsi halftime show, it's all built due to, the community's creativity. So we want to make sure that we're building the right things to help them. Probably the number one feedback I've heard is people don't believe that it's free, because 8th Wall has always been a premium product, and it still is a premium product, but Niantic Studio is free. So we're really trying to give as many people access to this tool as possible.
Well, it's funny. I was just going to ask you about like sort of what do you think is the impact, and the fact that it's free means that it's available to a lot more folks than might be using other tools that are a lot more pricey in terms of their SaaS model. So really, really cool. So I guess question then, when is it going to go live, and when are you going to be out of beta? And then two, kind of, are you targeting any particular industries or verticals? How are you kind of getting Niantic Studio out to the world?
Yeah, amazing. So I don't think I have a specific date for out of beta that we're ready to share yet, just because we just launched in beta just last week.
Oh, give me a minute, Eric. Jeez.
Go on.
I love it. You're really, really going for that scoop. So I love that. In terms of specific areas we're targeting, so number one is, we at Eighth Wall, found strong product market fit with agencies who are building for brands and building a lot of marketing and advertising activations. And we absolutely want to continue supporting those groups that have really shaped the product and allowed us to get to this point. So certainly, like, we want to continue to support those types of teams and those types of use cases. We're also really excited to expand into more of a long form content world. So that includes, the agencies and advertising and marketing, and sort of thinking more about what do holistic long-term brand experiences look like that people can re-engage with over time. We're also excited about looking and expanding into what we call hyper casual gaming. Obviously there's lots of gaming engines out there. We're not looking to, necessarily compete directly with some of the amazing gaming engines that are out there, but we think that there's a strong market for hyper casual games on the web that are taking advantage more of the amazing 3D graphics power that's available on the web now, the amazing XR functionality that's available on the web, and just the ease of distribution and deployment to get things out there and to get it in front of people.
So it sounds like between long form content, between hyper casual gaming, you guys are believing that the future killer applications for augmented reality and broad adoption, because I think that's always the question we get, right? What is the best and highest use of the technology? Do you guys see that lying along the lines of media and entertainment more so than, somebody climbing a telephone pole and needing to access information quickly, or, the scenarios in which it would be used in a more practical manner for, an assistant or an assist with fixing things, something like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's lots of different use cases for XR. I'm a big fan of solving for the practical now and making it meaningful now. At Niantic, our mission is to help people explore the world together. We have a lot of successful games out in market, so we're very consumer focused. That doesn't mean that there's not other focuses that are super valid and can also use Niantic Studio, to build them. But definitely, just from our DNA as a company, there's definitely like a consumer focus there a little bit.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Let me reset real quick before I throw it back over to you, Eric. So if you guys are joining us or joined us a little bit late, I'm Mike Shaman, Eric Arvai, our friend Joel from Niantic. We are talking about the wonderful universe of augmented reality. If you are here on LinkedIn Live, we do this every few weeks, maybe once a month now. Might be moving to a little bit slower pace. We also are going to be rebroadcasting on YouTube, Twitter, any other socials. So wherever you are joining us, we appreciate your time and attention. So Eric, back over to you.
Cool. So Joel, you were sort of getting into a little bit about the consumer experience, and I think back to some personal retail experiences I've had, like with, Amazon has a little AR app where you can try on shoes from your couch, to IKEA's being able to sort of place furniture within your space and see how it looks, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm kind of curious, like, what are some of the key elements that make, AR experience memorable and effective for consumers, certainly from your perspective?
Yeah, well, something that all of those experiences have in common is they solve a real problem for users, right? If you want to see if something fits in your space, like that's an actual problem people have that they need help solving. I know on the Eighth Wall platform, I think the art company Minted, they leverage Eighth Wall. I think it was built by Rock Paper Reality, I believe. They leverage Eighth Wall to try art out in your space. So that's a real consumer problem. I think a lot of the times, and we'll set gaming aside, and we can talk about that in a moment as well, or entertainment. Outside of entertainment and media, a lot of the times, people maybe get really excited about Gen AI or AR, all of the exciting emerging technology, but don't necessarily ground it in a consumer problem that's like meaningful, that people really experience. And therefore, using the technology is actually meaningful in solving the experience. Because you can add AR to anything. It doesn't mean it's necessarily a good idea. But when you find something that is a problem that AR and having an understanding of space meaningfully solves, that's when you get sort of like an experience that has legs and will get usage from consumers over time. Beyond that, you also have media and entertainment. Media and entertainment doesn't have to solve a problem. It just has to actually be engaging and entertaining. And ideally something repeatable, right? Because it's a big investment if you're doing something one time. So media and entertainment is maybe a Trojan horse in to help consumers understand and acclimate to the technology, and you get a lot more patience to try out things that are entertaining. Whereas, when you're solving a problem, the consumer wants you to solve the problem in, moments, not in, not in any time period longer than that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's always been all about efficiency, right? Like, for many, many years, the augmented reality applications that we've developed have leaned very heavily on the gimmick, right? Oh, this is cool and new. I don't mind taking 9 steps to do something that I could have done with 2 clicks, right? Because it's cool now, but that doesn't make it sticky, right? That makes it flashy, but it also has no longevity. So, as our brands, marketers out in the audience are thinking about applications for augmented reality, there's always the cool, sexy one-time use. I'm going to use it for a day. People won't mind taking a few extra steps to experience something really cool and unique. But, I think to Joel's point, you need to find a way to make this powerful, meaningful, and efficient. If it was something that was going to take you 30 seconds and augmented reality now allows you to do it in 10, that's when it's meaningful. And that's from the point at which you fire up the application to scan an image, to have it appear, to go through the experience, right? That's not like, and the beauty of the technological development side of things is that we've gotten to the point where initiating an experience is down to seconds, right? It used to be, 30 seconds, a minute, you have to download something, you have to wait, go, it had all sorts of barriers. We're now at the point where it's super, super quick and really easy, right? So the barrier is low to accessing it. The barrier is high, however, in terms of creating an experience compelling enough that people want to do it again and again. And so that's where we come through with the, how do you create something that is memorable and resonant? And then how do you create something that's just useful, right? I'm going to use this every day. I do think it's interesting, and I'd love your take on this, Joel. Snap, right? Great job. They've done an awesome job with killer facial recognition, right? That's definitely been their jam. Where does that fall in the grand scheme of things for you guys? And also, I don't even know of Niantic competitors and like who you guys consider a competitor, but is Snap a competitor, or is it because there's a social media platform that's, kind of doing their own thing and has different goals than you guys, just, another augmented reality player in the space?
I mean, honestly, I feel like we're too early. We're still too early in the industry to even have competitors. Like, we're all partners together, because the reality is the number of people who are using augmented reality versus like the problems that we can solve and the opportunity that are out there, it's so minuscule still. So we're as an industry, we're absolutely still in like a rising tide lifts all boats situation. And so, I love seeing what's out there and what people are doing, and I don't really think we're in like a competitive space as an industry yet, just because there's so much open opportunity out in the world. It's not like we're fighting for the pie and the pie's not expanding, sort of thing.
Right on. So tell me a little bit to dive into the technology side of things. And sorry, this is going to be my geekery showing up a little bit. It has traditionally been augmented reality experiences are triggered by the camera recognizing either a particular pattern, right? An image that has enough contrast with background that it can anchor a digital image onto your live feed, right? Or it's got enough contextual awareness using SLAM or some other way to recognize planes, right? To recognize a flat plane and a surface that have allowed it to do simplistic things. Now that we're getting to the world of AI, are you guys leveraging artificial intelligence significantly to recognize individual objects and to recognize their location within a scene so that you can occlude objects and so that you can do all of the things that you're doing? And where does that play with the traditional pattern recognition that I think Niantic has used in the past? And not to dive too deep in the technical side of things, but there are definitely a couple of folks out there that might be interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can get me talking about the technical side of things any day of the week. So just as a background, the web has less, sensor access and everything than, native hardware device. So you're trying to do a lot of the things that you've described with like actually less information to even just start with. And certainly, sometimes less processing power or compute than you would if you were, downloaded and can say, here's how much stuff I want from our hardware. Today, Niantic Eighth Wall offers world tracking. That's, instantaneous ground plane detection and placement of AR content, as well as with a little bit of camera movement, absolute scale or like real world scale object placement. Human AR, including, face effects, hand tracking. Face effects includes, ears as well. And then we offer our Lightship Maps, which is bringing that mapping technology that Niantic's known for is in our games into the web, including our visual positioning system, where we can place content with centimeter level accuracy. We have our image targets, or as you refer to, the pattern recognition, which supports planar, conical, and cylindrical image targets. So you can get your coffee cups and bottles and stuff in there. And more. And when we think about, AI, a lot of the times, a lot of the AI that people are encountering today, whether it's ChatGPT or even, the in-world example that we shared with Meet Wall, that's not happening on device in real time, right? That's going off to a server. There's a lot of compute power happening in a server that, someone is paying for somewhere. And, today the consumers aren't paying for it, but we'll see what happens one day. But there's a lot of compute going on somewhere in the cloud, and then you're getting a message back and something's, coming back. That's not super efficient for like computer vision. When you're building AR content and a computer needs to recognize what's going on, it needs to happen almost instantaneously in real time so that you can have like visual fidelity and the thing looks like realistic in context to your camera feed. So in terms of like the computer vision, that's Gen AI or AI is used more for training the models that are then applied, and the models, and that's what's used in like the real-time application. A great example of that is Niantic segmentation, including our sky effects that we offer on the web, where we basically used AI and these other things to train a computer to understand like what is sky versus what is not sky. But then it's all happening on device at that time from the trained model, not from like some sort of like multimodal Gen AI that's kind of speaking offline. Yeah, but there are opportunities there, Mike. So like our game Peridot, as an example, it's using our segmentation that we offer. So that's all happening on device in real time. But it's taking in like the characteristics of your dot, that's what your virtual pet is called, your dot, which has unique characteristics. It's taking in what it knows about the scene from semantics, and it is actually sending it to Gen AI, and it's saying, hey, this is my personality. Here's what, I'm about to interact with. What should my reaction to it be? So that it can have personalized reactions based on every single dot. So you can create this really dynamic, real feeling experience with this game, because it's taking in all of that real-time information. It has the visual fidelity, but then it's doing some interesting, reactions and animations of the character based on sort of this cool Gen AI understanding.
That's awesome. And for the creatives in the audience, I know to break down the opportunities, there's so many interesting and unique experiences that can be built, right? You think about the combination, or they can be used in a silo, they can be used in conjunction with one another, but the geolocation, the facial recognition, the object or pattern recognition, right? And then layering in artificial intelligence for appropriate reactions, right? For contextually appropriate reactions, has so much potential. Like there's just going to be so many really cool creative applications for what you guys are building, especially now that you've launched a new studio. It's wild. And I am super, super excited to see exactly how that rolls out. Yeah. So one of the things we typically do as we get, towards the back part of the stream here is talk a little bit about the future. And I know you guys just released in beta, so I don't want to go too far ahead. But I do want to ask, we know what's now. What is next? Where do you see Niantic in 18 months, in 24 months? I use a little bit of a short time frame because 36 months or 5 years, who freaking knows with AI right now? I have no idea. But what gets you excited about the platform and the potential for the next couple of years?
Yeah, well, I can say for me personally, I just get excited about the people. The energy at AWE is amazing. The pace of innovation across the industry. I got the opportunity to try out, Magic Leap's latest breakthroughs with their kind of new optical pass-through lens, which is lighter than the current version in the Magic Leap 2. And just, the stuff that is going on is just so incredible. So, I'm just so excited that we get to work in the space and this is our job. That's amazing. In terms of, Niantic, as I mentioned earlier, our mission is to help people explore the world together. And we think that AR, that location, is really meaningful to that, to adding to the world and to helping people experience it with others, and adding meaningfully, and not sort of situation where AR and VR are a situation where you're kind of taken out of the real world, but rather it's adding to the real world.
Yeah.
And so, I can't necessarily go over any specifics that are coming, but what I can say is if there are things that you see out in the space or that you're excited about that are adding to the real world around us, that are bringing people together, it's probably on Niantic's radar.
Right on. That's always the key for me, is it's got to be a complement, not a substitute, right? You got to have there is no substitute for reality. We certainly don't want to, dip into this dystopian future where everybody's, isolated in a headset at all times. And honestly, I think that there are some really exceptional opportunities to be pursued when you talk about mixing in this technology with your everyday life, and the variety of new headset hardware options. Because as I look to the future, I look and see, simple things like what Meta is doing with Ray-Ban, right? Which is not a huge technological leap, but it's starting to normalize the glasses-based, camera and other elements. I don't know if you've seen Bose has a really wonderful set of glasses that have exceptional speakers in them, right? So the idea for their elements are camera-based object recognition and audio cues, right? So they're only going audio. It's piped right into your ear, no in-ear earbuds. It's just the speakers sit in the frame of your lens. Those are really cool. Clearly, the Meta Quest 3. I have not seen the Magic Leap in about a year, but I'd be totally fascinated to get a demo. So if you're with Magic Leap, call us, because I haven't seen one in a little bit. And
We're demoing at AWE.
I missed AWE for the first time in like 3 years.
No.
I know. It's a busy week. Although that said, just to tease out what's coming next for us, Eric and I are hard at work on a technology trends with regards to display technologies. So as you look for future LinkedIn lives and content from coming at Gen City Labs, we're definitely going to be focused a little bit on the hardware side of the universe in the not too distant future. Okay, so on the wrap-up scale, Eric, what has you excited about the future? What are your closing thoughts?
So I love how we started. Mike, you sort of framed it with where technology was sort of the 2008 era to where we are now. And I think looking forward, just wider adoption is exciting. I think there was a lot of different types of data that was mentioned today in terms of behavioral data, location data, facial data about the space. And I think that mixed with some personalization that could come from a layer of AI will just make a whole new world, I think, for experiential marketing campaigns. And I think that XR, AR and VR applications are just going to enhance the consumer and the fan and the gamer experience.
Love it. Joel, what do you have closing thoughts for us from the wonderful world of Niantic?
I mean, I think Eric nailed it. I guess the one other thing I'd think about when it comes to that data, especially as brand marketers, is ownership. And that's where the web is really exciting. For most brands, the web is an owned channel. And with Niantic Eighth Wall, all of that AR data, outside of VPS, which has to go to the server to do a localization, that's all on device. So, that data is all there, unless you build specifically an experience that sends it to, a data warehouse that you own. But it's not going to Niantic. And that's a really important thing to think about in terms of these new spaces. We're getting a whole new opportunity and new channel of how to communicate with our customers and our fans and our guests. And it's the new channel's old. It's the internet in a new way. And so really thinking meaningfully about building out your pipelines and the infrastructure around how you want to engage with that channel and what ownership as brands you want to have in the data of that channel, in your customer experience of that channel, I think is a huge opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree. To go down the data path, I'll say, whoever controls the data controls the keys to the world. As we see in the universe of AI training and LLMs, the people that have the greatest amounts of data are going to be able to monetize that in unique ways, and also to adapt their experiences and brand messaging more effectively. So there's some really interesting, activations that we're going to be a part of in the next 6 months as we come to the second half of the year here. Summertime has some really cool stuff that we're going to be involved with. Essence Festival, I already mentioned, is happening on July 4th. So if any of you guys out there in the audience are attending that, please go check it out. Ton of stuff towards the end of the summer. And then we have, the NFL season and fall campaigns firing up. If you are a brand marketer, I definitely encourage you to think about longer term applications beyond a single event. I know it can be hard to get out of that event by event kind of mindset, but thinking about utilizing a platform in a different way that can actually draw a thread between multiple brand activations and multiple events is really important. It also allows you to be more efficient when you're thinking about costs and when you're thinking about ways to develop. So, I'm hopeful that we see more bigger and badder and better things. And I think that's the path forward. So with much appreciation, Joel, we definitely are glad you're able to join us today. Eric, appreciate you as always. For those of you in the audience, keep an eye out for the next one coming up in a few weeks, whether you are here on LinkedIn Live or YouTube or X or listen to this as a podcast or as a blog post in the future, we once again thank you all for coming. Appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.